you still want to be in that safe place. That safe place means an interior room away from windows. Just want you to be safe. It's always better to be on the cautious side of things. And if you get into that interior room, it might sound silly, but it's never a bad idea to put on a helmet. And if you could put something over you, maybe like a mattress, just to have that extra blanket of security, that is also a good thing as well. Let me go ahead and zoom things back out, and we're going to look across the entire NBC 15 area. So as of right now, that is the only severe warning that we have. We have that tornado warning for southeastern Mobile County, that area flashing in green for Metro Mobile. That is a flash flood warning that continues after we saw some very heavy rain after the tornado warning that moved through south central Mobile County, and it looks like that's going to be a confirmed tornado with some of the damage that we saw. We'll have more of that coming up later tonight in our shows. But I do want to show you just some of the rain that we've seen, because in some spots it has been impressive. Some areas have picked up over a few inches of rain. So let me go ahead and go over to the national here, and we'll go ahead and pick up some of the rainfall and what we've seen recently. And you can see this large swath that worked its way through Metro Mobile, where some areas, again, picked up a couple of inches of rain in a very quick hurry. 2.5 inches of rain being measured by the radar, especially on the northern side of Mobile, stretching down from more or less Cottage Hill over towards Pritchard. So times of heavy rain, that flash flood warning does continue. So as long as that flash flood warning continues, if you see any roadways that you can't see the bottom, do not attempt to drive through it. Looks like the National Weather Service might have actually canceled that flash flood warning based on what I'm currently seeing. So let me go ahead and back off the screen again. Again, all this information changing rather quickly. And from the National Weather Service, looks like they might be reissuing something here when it comes to that flash flood warning. But again, the main concern here is going to be that tornado warning in the southeastern corner of Mobile County. This does not include Dauphin Island. This is mainly for the area now around Bailey's Corner. For those of you in Coden, you are now beginning to clear. So that is some good news. If you are in your safe place around Coden, Nelson, the threat of a tornado is quickly coming to an end for you. Meanwhile, that threat does continue for Bellingrath, Rebel Road, Pine Top Road, up towards Montlouis, and then towards Bailey's Corner. If you're in those areas, seek shelter away from windows, interior room, lowest level of your home. Let's see if I can look at anything here on the debris tracker. I'm just going to check this really quickly. And it looks like over towards Elchamps, maybe something. Kind of hard to tell just based on our debris tracker. So hopefully we haven't seen it produce anything at this particular point. And then the storm could have also produced at least some small hail that could actually now be working its way past the Highway 193 out into the western portion of Mobile Bay. And on the storm relative velocity, which is just looking at the winds, it doesn't look like that couplet is quite as strong compared to earlier. So it does look like that threat of a tornado, at least for the time being, is lower, but we're still seeing this storm try to produce these inflow areas and these outflow areas where you're still getting this couplet right around Rebel Road and up towards Bellingrath. So this is still very much a possibility that this storm could be trying to continue to rotate and maybe even produce another tornado if it already produced one. So we've been seeing this, it's been called cycling, where it tries to spin up really quickly, it fades away, and then it starts to rotate once again. So let's go ahead and go back into street level. If I read off these roads, these are the areas that need to be getting in the safe place. And for those of you that are watching at home, if you know of anybody in this area, give them a call, because they might not necessarily have the ways to be able to watch this at this point. So Pine Top Road, obviously we have Rebel Road and then Bellingrath Road, and then over toward Bellingrath Gardens. If anyone's at Bellingrath, and we're getting close to the point where the lights will be coming on, if they haven't already, you want to be getting into that safe place right now. So again, if you know of anybody at Bellingrath, let them know that they want to be getting into a safe place. You do not want to be outside at this particular point. You want to wait until the storm passes. So again, the Christmas lights still happening at Bellingrath. Make sure if anybody is out in that area that they need to be getting inside. Riverview Drive, we also have Boulay Drive that you need to be getting into your safe place. Durrett Avenue, Faustina's over towards Baumhauer Road, Pioneer Road, Windsor Road South, Sonneborn Drive, and we also have Old Windsor Road. All these areas will have the potential to see a tornado work its way over in that direction. So let me go back to the velocity. If we're seeing any spin, this is where it's likely going to be. winds coming towards the radar, winds going away, but thankfully it doesn't look like that signature at this point is too strong. And of course, we're going to keep our fingers crossed that this really is only producing some gusty winds at this particular point. And then putting on that rotation detector, this is also some good news, that it looks like some of that shear has begun to wane a little bit, because I can take this back within the last 30 minutes. And as the tornado warning was issued, you can see it on the strong side of things here on our scale. Then as it moved to the northeast, it faded away, popped up again as we approached Highway 188, faded away again a little bit, could try to develop again, going through that cycle as it approached El Champs, and then not seeing as much when it comes to the rotation at this particular point. But it still has that look where it still could be producing a tornado. And you're not going to be able to see it coming. Make sure that you get into the safe place. And the National Weather Service, you just saw it right there, the polygon changed. That means they just updated the tornado warning once again, and it just came in from the National Weather Service just within the last 30 seconds that they're going to let this warning continue, and it continues until 5:15, which simply means this storm is still capable of producing a tornado. And I cannot stress enough, if you're at Bellingrath or if you know of anybody at Bellingrath, they need to be getting into that safe place now as well, because this is still a very popular time to be going to look at the Christmas lights. So around Rubble Road, Bellingrath, Pinetop Road, these are all the areas you need to be seeking shelter at this point. This warning goes for another 9 minutes, and we're going to continue to be with it as long as the National Weather Service thinks there's a threat. And here we go. On that latest scan, we're getting more of that look once again. So these storms, looks like they're trying to spin up really quickly. They fade and could be spinning again. And this look, just when it comes to the radar, is a little bit concerning. You can see the winds going in like that, going out like that, and going in right here. And as you can tell, that is right around Bellingrath. Get into your safe place now. So again, that is an interior room away from windows. Again, do not try to be outside to look at this storm. For anybody that's out at Bellingrath, try to seek shelter. Your car is not going to be a safe place when it comes to this, so try to get inside if you can into a sturdy structure, and try to get away from as many windows and try to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So again, that threat does continue for Bellingrath. We do have that rotation, looks like right there, just being based on the radar. This is now working its way over towards Pinetop Road and then over towards Monlouis Island. And then as you make your way a little bit further to the north, some of these roads that are now under the gun for this tornado warning now include BB Point Drive. And we'll go ahead and zoom things in here even more, just getting down to the street level here. This is River Chase Court. You got still that Pioneer Road that's still under the threat for this, Windsor Road South, and then you also have Sonneborn Drive. I think that's what it was right there. Let me go ahead and get this back. It looks like the map might have tilted just a little bit. Actually, we're able to turn it around. So we go ahead and go back into this storm, as again, this is going to be the main focus. But even before I do that, we are still watching more storms over towards George County, Mississippi, that are producing some pretty strong winds and will also have the potential to rotate. But again, this storm right around Bellingrath has the potential to be producing a tornado. Let me go ahead and see if I can find anything on the debris tracker. Hopefully we're not seeing anything when it comes to this particular storm. And so far you can see kind of just some of the lowering of colors on the other side. So that's encouraging. So hopefully it's not producing anything here on the debris tracker. So we're going to continue to come back to this to see if it does end up producing anything right there. Go back to KMOB, base reflectivity, and then you can see it. You can even just see it on the lapse of the last 15 minutes of it trying to loop around right there. Again, Bellingrath, if you know of anybody in that area, tell them that they need to be seeking shelter now, as the storm, again, could be producing at least a quick spin up. And then you could even see it right there within the last 15 minutes. You have that quick pop of wind shear right there as it gets ready to move over the river and now is working its way over towards Monlouis. Pretty soon, this storm is going to be working its way over into Mobile Bay. And for those of you on the eastern shore, anywhere from Point Clear up towards Daphne, then we'll need to be watching that one closely. But I also do want to say, for those of you in Coden, down towards Alabama Port, your threat of a tornado has come to an end. So if you're in your safe place, you can currently exit your safe place as this continues to move to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. I'm going to put another storm track on this, see if there are any more spots that we need to be keeping a very close eye on within the next 10 minutes. So again, moving to the northeast at 15. And right now, it's just mainly highlighting. Let me put this on now. Mont Louis in the next couple of minutes, Bailey's Corner within the next 5 minutes, and then we'll be working its way out into Mobile Bay. The time is currently 5:09. This tornado warning goes until 5:15. I'm going to go back and check the National Weather Service to see if there are any more updates here. From the latest update from the National Weather Service, the southern Mobile County storm seems to be struggling to intensify again. And as long as this trend continues, they are planning on letting the warning expire at 5:15. But they did mention that they are still watching some storms over in Mississippi that will bear watching as those storms continue to move off to the east. So as we zoom things in, you can see a stronger storm that's currently working its way now east of Loosedale, while we're also watching a pretty strong storm that's now approaching the northwestern corner of George County in Mississippi. And there's still more of a line of storms that are approaching from the west that will eventually be crossing Highway 49 from Gulfport and will try to work their way into our area. So the one warning that we currently have continues to be a tornado warning for the southeastern corner of Mobile County. This rotation, if we're seeing it, is right around Bellingrath. But again, the latest scans from the radar are at least positive, where the shear and the rotation haven't been that strong. So again, we're going to hope that hasn't really been producing anything since it was offshore just to the south of Coden. And then let's go ahead and look at some of the shear right here. Still producing some wind shear, but it's not too strong on the scale. Meanwhile, let's see if it's still producing any hail, because it looks like as it was working its way down into southeastern Mobile County, it at least was producing some hail, but it looks like at this point it has ceased doing so. So hopefully that's another sign that this storm does indeed continue to weaken. But this is going to continue to move to the northeast. Again, this is moving around 15 miles per hour pretty soon. This is going to be working its way up towards Bailey's Corner. If you're right along Highway 193, those are the spots that you want to be getting into your safe place right now. Just as long as this tornado warning continues, this is going to be up towards Fowl River Road, and then you also have Pioneer Road in these areas. And as you zoom in a little bit closer, you have Pioneer Trace Drive, and then a little hard for me to see here. It looks like that's going to be Murray Road in those areas. That's also where you want to be seeking shelter. But the radar, at least in the last few scans, are positive. But as long as we have a tornado warning, remember, that means that there's a threat. The time is currently 5:12. This tornado warning was issued about 30 minutes or so ago. So as long as that tornado warning is still here, we'll stay on it. But I do want to do one more check from the National Weather Service to see if there have been any more new updates when it comes to this particular storm. And if anybody's in this area and have eyes on this storm, send in a tip to our chime in on mynbc15.com. That way we can also tell what's happening down there, as we just don't have cameras in this particular area. But this storm is now beginning to work its way to the northeast of Bellingrath. That is positive, and it's continuing to work its way up towards Bailey's Corner, up towards Mont Louis, and then as you continue to move off to the northeast, up towards Sunny Cove. Time is currently 5:13. We are currently in our coverage for NBC 15 News at 5 o'clock, and as long as this warning is still going on, but once this warning does expire, if there are no more warnings, we'll get you back to our regular programming. But we're still watching more storms that are coming in from the west, and these storms will also have the potential to rotate and potentially become strong, and maybe we could continue to see more tornado warnings through the next few hours. And then, as we talked about earlier during this coverage, we will have another risk of seeing severe weather for our Saturday. So at the end of the day, it's been a busy day, and we're still not done just yet. The risk from today should begin to wane, at least as we move into this evening. But as the storm continues to move to the northeast, still has that threat of at least producing a tornado, even though that threat looks like it is beginning to get lower. So pretty soon here, we'll be wrapping up this wall-to-wall coverage of this particular tornado warning. And as it works its way out into Mobile Bay, we'll continue to watch it and keep a close eye on it for those of you along the eastern shore. But if the National Weather Service is not going to extend this tornado warning, then it looks like, based on what I'm currently seeing, that the risk of seeing a tornado has at least gone down for the time being. But as long as you're still within that tornado warning, you still want to seek shelter. But look, as quickly as it started to work its way back into open water, we're starting to see that shear increase once again. This could very well be one of those situations where, as it works its way back out into Mobile Bay, where it doesn't have any impediments once again, it could then begin to re-strengthen and try to find its way through Mobile Bay, maybe producing another waterspout. So at the end of the day, we'll be watching this closely as it continues to work its way towards the eastern shore. Not saying that it's going to maintain itself, but that potential will be there. So the time is currently 5:15. I just want to check it really quickly to make sure that the National Weather Service has let this expire. And I have not seen any updates, so the time is currently 5:15. That tornado warning has expired. That's going to wrap up at least this wall-to-wall coverage, and we're going to go ahead and toss it now to our news coverage for NBC 15 News at 5 o'clock.
This is NBC 15 News.
As you've just seen, a volatile weather day here across South Alabama. Strong winds and heavy rains are still pounding our area this evening. And what they're leaving behind is a trail of downed trees and flooded streets. Now, this video comes to us from the Cheese Wagon Facebook page, and you can see the driver of a utility truck navigating his way down Grand Bay Wilmer Road around 2 o'clock. Fallen trees strewn across the road. Now, NBC 15's Kim Anderson also shot video you're seeing now on a different stretch of Grand Bay Wilmer Road. Lots of trees are down there, at least one collapsing on a power line. Sheriff's deputies out in full force this afternoon, directing traffic and blocking people from moving through that area. About 900 people were left without power at the height of that particular storm. And from what we're seeing, it is not over. We want to get it back to Chief Meteorologist Thomas Gieboy. He's been keeping an hour-by-hour account of how this dangerous weather has been playing out and what else is in store because, Thomas, it is not over.
Yeah, Darwin, it's not over. It's been an active day. We've seen a couple of tornado warnings issued for our area. We saw one basically right around noon today in Jackson County and George County, and then the main one that we saw earlier was a confirmed tornado in south central Mobile County, and then we just got off the air just a second ago talking about the tornado warning that was in the southeastern corner of Mobile County. But we're still watching more showers and thunderstorms as they continue to move in from the west, and that storm that did produce the tornado warning in the southeastern corner of Mobile County is now working its way out into Mobile Bay, and we'll be watching it very closely as it continues to work its way generally towards the eastern shore. And I'm also watching a line of storms that are moving in from Mississippi. Some of these storms have also produced some warnings, and they could also produce more as they move from west to east. And a few storms out in the Gulf of Mexico will also have that chance of becoming strong. As we go through the rest of today, we still have that level 1 marginal risk. It's a small risk, but it means that there is one nonetheless, and we've seen that play out today. Here's the current view with the Fairhope Pier Cam. As we look off in the distance, just gray conditions, but it's only a matter of time before we see more storms move in. Temperatures have been warm. There's been a warm front that's lifted north. Temperatures have been ranging anywhere from around 60 degrees to 70 degrees. It definitely feels like storms are going to be a possibility through the rest of this evening just because of how warm and muggy it is out there. But as quickly as we turn the page into our Saturday, we do have another storm system that's going to be on the way, and the risk of severe weather will actually be increased from what we're seeing out there today, where most of the NBC 15 area in a slight risk, while the northwestern corner is in a level 3 enhanced risk. Tomorrow will be a code red weather day based on the potential of severe weather, and we'll break down all the details that you need to know coming up in your full forecast in a few minutes.
All right, Thomas, catch your breath. We'll be back with you in a moment.